Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, and I will apologize for not being on here earlier. We had a very busy day. A lot of yard work, mowing the grass, cleaning the hedges, trimming trimming the weeds. All the things you have to do when you want your yard to look nice. Speaking about nice, it was nice to hear from a couple people I haven't heard from in a long time. I know everybody's lives are busy. Everybody's lives are busy, especially Miss Marguerite and her family because they're expecting a baby, so they got to get the a room set up for the baby and all the furniture and their daily lives and all the things that need to be done. So I mean I don't blame not hearing from Margaret in a long time because she's been a big voice of inspiration, positive opinions and whatnot. Same with Nellie, who's always on, So, but forgive me for I got to do this real quick. It's that time of year when I have a lot of issues with pollen and postnasal drip, and yeah, I can hear you guys going, wait a minute, didn't you just say you did the yard? Yes, I did a bit of the yard, but even if I did the whole yard, I wear a rebreather. That way I can go out there and do what needs to be done without allergy issues, which I'm thankful for because allergy issues is a real pain in my ass. Excuse my language. This is actually the worst allergy season in quite some time. And me being more outdoor and active outdoors, trying to do yard on my own and whatnot, I'm not surprised about the postnatal drip, which has been going on for a couple weeks now. Actually, I think it's been going on since we got back from Colorado. And speaking of Colorado, we've been watching a lot of different YouTubers who talked about moving and buying land and getting a prefab set up. Some of the difficulties, some of the things that they didn't know that they put out there, so you can figure, you can get, a hint of what they had to deal with. So again, it's one of those things where I'm happy that somebody has already had the experiences and put out the 411. So it's nice to know that there are things that we might run into that somebody else has already ran into and can give us a little bit more in detail. There is one particular lady who does a lot of videos on the purchase of land and the difficulties of loans and all the different things that we can run into that could, cause a bump in the road. And even though there are times I sit there while Jerry's watching the information, the lady who does this. Part of my brain is going, okay, I'm happy that somebody else has gone through it and we can get a little insight. But at the same time, my brain is going, I'm not gonna stop trying to go and move to Colorado just because of a couple possible hiccups. Excuse me, I've got a small pile over here of things that we're keeping. The bigger pile, which is in the guest room, are things for the yard sale. One of the things I want to touch on too is I know and understand that there's a lot of people out there who, if they don't see it, they can't believe it, which is fine and dandy. It's fine and dandy for them. But I used to have the same feeling about the Bible. No, I'm not going into a Bible rant or anything like that. But there was a time where if I couldn't see it, I wouldn't believe it, you know. But the proof is outside. You know, go out in nature. Go for a nature walk. You'll see all the proof of God's wondrous powers. And just because we mere mortals don't always see the proof in His grandeur, it's because we're not looking. We're too busy running around slapping labels on each other. We're too busy judging each other. We're too busy doing things that aren't even within our job category as humans. Um, but yeah, all I need is going outside, and I can tell you right now. I mean, yes, Missouri's got a lot of things to see, and it's beautiful and whatnot. But like I said before in a different video, I don't feel at home here in Missouri. But that short period of time that we spent in Colorado way back in July, um, early July, um, I mean, I was just barely over the state line. Didn't realize we were over the state line in Colorado, but I just felt, especially when we visited Canyon, because of how close we were in the mountains, and Canyon is kind of tucked in the mountains, I just felt more at home. And I will tell you this much for those who are worried about my physical and mental health because of all things going on. One, my mind realizes and knows that once we get up to Colorado, I will feel 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% better than I do nowadays. Don't know why. I can't pinpoint the rhyme or reason. I just know something in me has been wanting to get to Colorado for decades. This is not a fly by night, oh, Jim's just having a fantasy. No, this is something that I've been wanting for 35, since I was at least 15, 16 years old. And this was probably even before I started reading about Mary Summer Rain and all all the years that she lived in Colorado, and all her detailed stories of Colorado, and detailed stories of what she was doing up there and how her life was before and after moving to Colorado. And I know some people are like, oh, you don't want to live in that area, crime rate, it's dry, blah, blah, blah. When you feel like you're meant to be in a certain place and you have no care in the world about what other people say when it comes to their so-called experiences, that's fine. You had those experiences. You feel that crime rate is too high, whatever. Like I said before, I lived with Jerry in New York for 13 years of our marriage. Actually, 14 if you want to include the year before we got married. And I can tell you this much. New Yorkers would run over their own mother for $1. It can't be any worse in Canyon than in New York. That, when you know you're where you belong, you feel very much at home. And the positive energy that I felt when I was there, I'm not worried about squat, especially when it comes to crime rate or anything like that. And if my whole family wants to go, why am I going to argue? Why am I going to fight it? When we first started looking for a place to move, because all of us wanted to get out of New York or out of Missouri. We talked about Arizona. We talked about northern New Mexico. Then Jared started talking about Raleigh-Durham in North Carolina to be closer to Duke University and all their cancer studies and research and all that fun stuff. We looked at the weather conditions and went, the humidity factor alone was just like, no, no. And they do have winters, they do get winters, at least in Pueblo and Canyon. Yeah, the high might only be 50 degrees during the daytime, but any snow any snow that accumulates usually melts off the concrete and pavement um, within hours of sunrise. But mom's got pretty much all her stuff basically situated and downsized a buttload of stuff. Most of the stuff that's in this room is hers. Not this room, but the guest room is hers. You know, me and Jerry are getting rid of a lot of stuff. We're finding stuff to give away to family members. But I'm like, okay, I can understand you want to give it away to family members, but how are you going to get it to New York? Are you going to box it up and ship it to them? If that's the case, you might as well just, box up the stuff that's supposed to go to Nevada, take it with us, maybe stop in Nevada at the end of this month or end of September when we're going to go out there and say, hey, here's the stuff that we've been keeping for you guys, have at it. But this time we agreed that we will be there for a full week, maybe longer, depending on a lot of different things. One of the things that I'm not going to tell you all the things that we've considered, but we're talking about trying to be out there by the end of this year, beginning of next year, like January, February sometime. Jerry Ann is coming up with contingency plans as if we can't move directly onto our property that we're going to try to buy and into at least one of the two mobile homes that we want to put on that property, we might have to do a rental. And I've looked at a lot of different rentals that are like 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They're like $560 a month, which is not bad because we pay for basically the same thing here in Rolla for a townhouse. 2-bed. No, the townhouse was 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2.5-bath for like $560, $600 a month when Mom and I first moved out here from Arizona. Now, some people might think, well, why'd you move out of Arizona? Well, one, Mom and I were tired of broiling in the desert, in the Phoenix, Arizona sun, where it could be 125 in the flipping shade, to coming out here to Missouri in the middle of July, which is like one of the hot months of both Arizona and Missouri, and we were sitting on a real grass under a real tree in a park listening to a free orchestra concert. And we looked at each other and went, why the hell are we living in Arizona dying? Now, I do remember it took quite some time between our decision. It took almost a year between our decision to move out of Arizona to get to New York. Or not New York, Missouri. Jeez, I keep on putting New York in there. Why is my brain on New York? Probably because there's a lot of things going on out there that me or my wife cannot be a part of, and it has to do with her family. And even though I'm not exactly 100% agreeable with her family, but I still respect them for who they are, because they are my wife's brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole shebang. It took me a couple years to get used to their New York attitude. But anyhow, So what's been happening lately is we've been purging rooms, going through our stuff, deciding what to keep, what not to keep. Granted, I do look at Jerry Ann's stuff and go, you could, she did get rid of half. I should be happy with that, but then I look at, the other half that's still being kept and going, are we going to have enough room for this? What kind of cabinetry are we going to have? What, that kind of thing. But I shouldn't really be complaining because I have not even gotten around to going through my stuff because I know there's going to be some clothing that I'm probably going to get rid of. I just looked at a couple books going, I'm probably going to get rid of that book, and that book. But I still don't know because I have to look at it. And I'm not getting rid of it just to get rid of it. I'm getting rid of it mostly because I don't think I'll ever read it again. I don't think I'll need it, in the further future. Um, you know, I do like my books and I do read them, but when you've read them so many times that you just have to look at the first paragraph on the first page and go, oh yeah, I remember this, you know. So it's yeah. If you're wondering, I'm playing with a pop socket. It goes on the back of my phone now that I got my phone set up the way I want it or the way I need it right now. So there's a lot going on. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care because I know what's going on. You don't. You want to claim you know, but you really don't. But tomorrow's supposed to be rainy, but we have an eye doctor appointment for Jerry, and she says that she has to go to it, so she's not gonna do one of these. Oh, it's raining too hard. I'm gonna call out. No, knowing her the way I know her is, she'll do it. She'll go. She'll unless she feels really crappy in the morning time or if it doesn't feel good, she'll do it. Um, she will drive up there, and if it's not too crappy, I will drive home. If not, we'll just sit back, relax until her eyes redilate. But as long as I can see a good 20 feet in front of me or 10 yards, whatever is the furthest distance, I'll drive. You know, I'll drive home. I'll have my hazard lights on, and I'll be going at a comfortable speed, whether it's 45 to 60, probably closer to 45. Road conditions and whatnot. Normal speed limit is 75 degrees, so visibility will knock it down to 65. Road conditions will knock it down another 5, so that's 60. My comfort level will knock it down to probably 50. So somewhere in between 45 and 50 is what I'll be driving with my lights on, my blinkers, the whole 9 yard, just for safety. And if you're thinking I'm a pansy, well, no, you're not. No, it's not because I'm a pansy. It's because I've got precious cargo in my vehicle, and I'm not going to put my life at risk by going faster than I should or faster than I'm comfortable. So stop playing with that, Joe. So yeah, tomorrow's gonna be full. We're gonna have to go straight to my doctor's appointment at 1:45. So tomorrow probably will not be. We'll probably not be doing any purging. We'll probably be taking the day as a day off because after today, I definitely would like to have a day off. Yeah. And the only reason why I pushed myself to get 90, not 95, 90 to 95% of the yard done, is because it's supposed to be rainy from 2 a.m. to sometime late evening. Okay, let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Excuse me. Yeah, it's getting late. It's 9 o'clock. I won't be surprised if when I get out of here, my mom's already asleep in bed. Because she's been going all. She got up at 5:30 yesterday and literally worked all day until about 8 o'clock. And then even at 8 o'clock, she stayed up for another hour or so. She was a trooper. I'm kind of surprised that she got up to do anything this morning because of how hard how much work she put in yesterday. And I keep on telling her if she needs any kind of help, let me know so I can help her. Where are my weather apps? Oh, there they are. Let's see here. Ferrara, Missouri. Oh, come on. Don't tell me when net's going bonkers on me. Might not be able to get this information up because my internet today has been a little wonky. All right, here we go. Currently 71 degrees, cloudy. It's not going to let me see the weather map. Darn it. Wind speeds out of the northwest at 12 miles per hour. So the sun's already set then. And it's a waning moon. Let's see here. Heat index is not telling me. Humidity is 81%. But yeah, tomorrow it's supposed to start storming. At what time? What? Oh, come on. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Anyhow, it looks like it says Wednesday. So, but it doesn't say what time Wednesday. Oh, here we go. I went too far. Let's see here. It's going to start raining and storming at 7 a.m. and continue on until 2 a.m. So that's going to be fun. High tomorrow is only going to be 76. Yay. But I want to get the yard done because I didn't want to have to wait until the rain, the grass dried up after the rain. As it is, it looks like I won't be able to finish little areas here and there until Thursday. Maybe not even Thursday. I might even have to wait until late Thursday, early Friday. But we'll see. Everything right now lately is basically, one day at a time. See how we feel each morning. Because that's when Jerry Ann's got the most energy and I'm just waking up, my energy usually comes and goes around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on what's going on. Like, I might wake up and be fine and dandy and start to do some projects, then it turns into a shit day because of the weather or just the way I feel, But I'm using all the tools that my therapist gave me, and all the advice he gave me. Take one thing at a time. Don't push yourself if you don't feel like doing it. Like, I've got dishes to do. I just don't feel like doing the dishes, so I probably won't do dishes until sometime tomorrow. But it depends. Because right now I just feel like curling up and going to sleep. And actually I might have to do that sooner than later, because if we have to be in Lebanon, Missouri by 9:45 or something like that, I need to try to go to bed now. Or within the next hour. I don't know, because because it's either 9 o'clock is when we're leaving. Yeah, 9 o'clock is when we're leaving. So I have to be up by at least 8:30. So if I can fall asleep before noon and not be woken up multiple times between the time I fall asleep until, because I might wake up and the dog, it might be raining outside and the dog will be like, nope, I ain't, no, I'm not going out there. Which, if that's the case, I'm gonna let her or get her to just do her business on the carport. At least it'll be outside and I can clean it up easily. You know, get the pooper scooper. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because my throat is getting froggier and I need to go take my meds and all that fun jazz for allergies and let's see here, vitamin, was it fish oil, my algae pill, my antidepressant, anxiety medicine, and my bipolar medicine. Actually, no, I take one in the morning and one at night. So, because that's what the pharmacist said. Doctor didn't say anything about it because the doctor was like, well, if it makes you drowsy, take both of them at night. The pharmacist said, no, you can't take both of them at the same time because it could cause heart irregularity. And I just went, oh, thanks. I'm glad somebody told me about that. You know, but thankfully, though, whatever pill I switched to mornings does not make me drowsy like it said it did. So once I've had my coffee and started my day, I'm usually pretty good to go. Well, like I said, we have the 2 doctor's appointments, one for me, one for Jerry tomorrow, and then we'll see how we feel in the evening time. I gotta try to think about what we can make for dinner tomorrow that's easy. Well, I can make... Oh, I think I know what I'm gonna make. Something we haven't had in a long time, but it's really easy to make because it's a jar of Alfredo sauce, some cut up chicken breast, and pasta. So, and broccoli. I don't know why, but broccoli and chicken Alfredo mixed together is like one of the best dishes that I can make easily and affordable. So, actually, I might record myself doing it just, for the not the cheap seats, Jim. Just for, people want to see me cook. And, granted, it's not one of my recipes or anything like that, but it will be a cooking video that is so simply easy. Because it's like, well, if I make it chicken Alfredo carbonara, that's basically the chicken, the Alfredo sauce, the pasta, crumbled bacon, and I don't know what other recipe, I don't know what else is in carbonara that's easy except for maybe while I'm heating the sauce or cooking the chicken, I'll splash a little white wine in there for that extra oomph flavor. I should have had Jerry Ann and I record cooking. We had last week, I think it was short ribs that we did in the Instapot and turned it into basically a stew. So it had the short ribs cooking in it, the beef broth, some carrots and onion, like what was it? A cup or more? I can't remember how many cups of red wine. And I tell you, it was delicious. In fact, I still have the gravy from that meal, and I gotta see if it's still good, because I can basically take egg noodles, boil up some egg noodles, heat up, basically cook a pound of ground round, uh, put the gravy or the sauce into a small saucepan to cook off some of the impurities, and basically put it in a big bowl, mix it together, and call it dinner. Probably end up cooking like a side of carrots or broccoli, or something along that line. But yeah, sounds like a good idea. But anyhow, I'm gonna let you guys go. I've been on here for 30 minutes. I don't know what Jerry's doing, or mom could be in bed by now, who knows. But I'm gonna go and enjoy the rest of the night before I go to sleep with my wife and puppy, because Oreo can be a green-eyed monster when my wife and I try to just sit close to each other, let alone hold each other. And for those who are watching this video, if you think my change of mood is because of what you guys are taking as the wrong thing, I actually want to touch on that before I let you go. Our video when Jerry was mentioning ED, and she was not mentioning ED in the context of sexuality. She was mentioning the word ED as in special ed, which I was a student of, because in my high school years, I was below average in mathematics and spelling, basically English. So I was in the special ed classes for that. I wish I can find the paperwork for my GED score to show you that I excelled in math, social studies, sciences, and geography. It was English, basically the written word, and even the spoken word, I have difficulties with. And I can sit there and blame it on the piss poor education that I was getting in grade school, because the military did not understand my learning disability and my ADHD, hyperactivity. So they wanted to slap labels on me like being slow. Yet by the time I literally dropped out of high school in the middle of 12th grade, I was reading. Where is my yearbook? Oh man, if I had my yearbook, I can read what my reading teacher put on there in my last yearbook. But she was telling my mom that I was reading what they consider college level materials, because they don't teach metaphysics in high school. They don't teach Native Americanism or shamanism or anything like that in high school. This was like beyond high school materials, which went and proved to me that if I'm highly interested in it, like the books from Mary Summer Rain, I will read it, I will excel at it, and I really don't care what other people think about it. As for the other version of ED, I don't know how it got mentioned or anything like that. It's probably something that, if I remember right, somebody was saying that Jerry was talking about it in one of her videos. We, according to not just me and Jerry, but according to the doctors, or at least the doctor I spoke to, because Jerry wasn't there with me, because I was feeling a little embarrassed about talking about it. It was kind of funny, because when I went in to talk to my doctor about it, the nurse that came in was looking at paperwork and said, "So, what's your, when was the last time you ate?" Basically, and I was like, "Excuse me." She goes, "You came in about an eating disorder?" I went, "No, no, 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 no. I came in here about it, about something that has nothing to do with food." And she's like, "Oh." So I did get the generic version of Viagra. The only thing is, even the generic version of Viagra, which my insurance does not cover, is like $86 for 6 pills. And I just kind of went, okay, yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing that often, and we'll have to we'll have to hold on to the pills until it's like one of those, like, we know what we're going to be doing, and I need the pill. But that was a year ago, and we haven't gone back to get the pill because it's too damn expensive. Um, so I'm like, nope. Of course, I read some of the side effects and went, hell no. Erratic heartbeat, you know, blood pressure problems, heart problems. I just kind of went, I hate to say this, but I'd rather not have to worry about that. As for my love for my wife, um, my love for my wife has nothing to do with what happens behind closed doors. Um, I said it once before, I'm going to say it again, so listen up. My love for my wife has nothing to do with her physical appearance. My love for my wife has to do with what I've seen in her heart, what I've seen internally. And I don't mean I saw her open up on a surgical table. I mean, I look past the physical appearance on most people and look for their heart, look for their characteristics. I know my characteristics are spastic and crazy, and sometimes like a roller coaster ride, but that's because of my mind, my mental issues. And yes, I don't let them hold me back, but there are times where I get mad when even Jerry Ann mentions it, and I'm like, look, I've never thought about it. I've never considered it an issue. I've never worried about it. I've never caused it or let it hold me back. If I'm determined to do something, let me be. Let me go for it. Let me. It's not that I don't want her to hold my hand, which is far from it. I just don't want her to hold me back. And I've learned from my lessons. I learned things the hard way. And Jerry's like, I just don't want you to get frustrated or hurt or anything like that. I said, I have been going through frustration and mental or physical pain of one form or another all my life, because I've literally had to learn everything I could about being human, about being an adult, about being a man. Yes, I know I've got mental issues, and yes, I do seek counseling. But the thing is, you have to let me be me in order for me to learn it myself and figure it out. I know that sounds like a stubborn, ass backwards type way of learning things, but I've been doing that. Let's see here. I met her in my had to be late 30s, late to early 30s, which means I was learning things on my own for 15 years, give or take a couple months on my own. My cousins weren't there to really help me out. They were doing their own thing. I don't blame them. My mom didn't know, she was having her own issues at the time. Um, you know, there was a guy that she met through PWP, Parents Without Partners, um, and she had hoped that he would be more help than he was. And actually, he was no help. He was a reverse help. Um, I kept on trying to convince my mom that I should be kicked out of the house at the age of 16, and learn how to deal with my own monies and all that stuff. And I'm like, I mean, I heard them talking about it from my room, and it's like my room was upstairs at the end of the hall, and that whole area that was the living room was just one big old open up into the upper part of the house. So I can hear every conversation they had. And I would laugh because I knew my mother well enough to know that even with the problems that she was having herself because of the loss of my father, and my father was the one who took care of a lot of stuff, and she had to learn how to do it overnight practically. And you know, they used to work together on the bill books and whatnot because he can do math in his head faster than a computer. Um, but this guy came in thinking he was going to take over and push me out so he can bring in his kids for my mom to basically take care of his kids while he drank himself under a table, or sent her out with his kids going, yeah, I need some quiet time so I can work on he wanted to be a writer. Yeah, you guys call me a dreamer. He was a freaking dreamer from Australia, so he thought he was a big badass and whatnot. You know, I scared the shit out of him one time. You know, you think I'm violent now? Oh, back then I was hellaciously violent. Probably should have gone to some sort of correctional facility because of some of the things that were going through my head, let alone some of the things I said. Um, but she finally woke up to his bullshit and basically kicked him and his two kids out. And then I ended up moving back in for let's see here, what was happening back then. I was working for a security company. Did not have a drive. Well, I couldn't get a driver's license not because of my problems of my own, but because nobody wanted to teach me. My cousin, who was borrowing my mom's car a lot, didn't want to teach me. My mom was afraid of being a passenger in a car, so she couldn't teach me because she'd be a nervous wreck. Um, you know, life has never been easy for me or Jerry Ann because of one thing or another. Hers was because of her plus size body. You know, her bone structure was basically big boned. She was always a chubby baby. I've seen pictures of her when she was a baby, and I was like, yeah, you were a chubby baby. My problem was always mental issues. Hyperactivity, attention deficit disorder, um, learning disabilities that the military didn't know how to deal with. In fact, the military didn't know how to deal with any of my issues. So I was held back I was held back multiple times grade wise because, well, let's see here. The move to Germany put me back 2 grades. And then the move back to the States put me back 2 grades for some weird reason. I failed. I failed at least 1 grade. I can't remember which grade it was. But that was while we were still living under the military's guise, or however you want to put it. But the difficulties of life, each individual person has his or her own difficulties of one form or another. Now, if you come back at me saying I never had any difficulties, I'm going to call bullshit. Because even though you may claim that you were a perfect child and your life was perfect, that's nobody's life is perfect. I'm sorry. I don't know any one person that has ever had a perfect life. Only people I can think of that would have a so-called perfect life are these people who are born with either a silver, gold, or platinum spoon up their ass. But even though they've got all the luxury and whatnot, maids and butlers and personal drivers and whatnot. I'm pretty sure there's some issue in the background that you don't recognize. It's easier for people who are looking into the window to see all the issues and problems people have, but it's difficult for those same people to recognize their own issues because they either say, "Oh, that's not an issue," or "Oh, that's not my problem." I'm sorry, I'm 51 years old, and I know that even my parents, before, when I was younger, had problems in one form or another. Even if they were able to keep it hidden from me, I'm pretty sure that's how I developed my empathy. Is I could sense issues, I can sense problems, I can sense people's emotions, I can sense the weather, the atmosphere, the earth itself, and to wake up, literally. To wake up out of a dull, to wake up out of a deep sleep, drenched in your own sweat, and it's not even hot in the room, drenched in cold sweat, feeling as if you're going to have a heart attack because of an unexplainable, horrific sound or feeling deep within your soul, wakes you up from a cold sleep. And I don't mean the cold of the sweat that you woke up in, but you were out cold. And you wake up feeling like your internal body is screaming to be let go. And not knowing where those feelings are coming from is worse than the nightmare itself. And I don't know how many times between the age of 15 after my dad died to my 20s, my mid 20s, not knowing exactly what the hell was going on in your brain, what was going on with your body. It's it, it's hard to explain to others, let alone your own explanation, your own hopeful explanations of what it could have been. And still to this day, not knowing, 40 years later, not know, no, 30 years later, not knowing what it was, but just knowing that you were developing a sense and a sense of sorts that nobody could help you understand, nobody can explain it. You know, my my mom and dad and my aunt Lee used to joke about how they could that when my uncle Tom, Aunt Lee's husband, was alive, the four of them, not my mom, but Lee, Tom, and so the three of them, Lee, Tom, and my father, would be able to sit there and play pinochle and not even have to talk to each other to know what the next move is or what the next card is to use, because the person that was going to go before them had already chosen that card and was telegraphing that through their body gestures or eye contact or whatever it was. Now, scientists have studied and know that the human mind we only use about 10% of the human mind. But scientists also know that there are those who use an extra percentage because they have, as they would call it, psychic or pre-K, not pre-K, psychic or some kind of mental ability, whether it was being an empath, whether it was being telekinetic, telepathic, clairvoyancy. Um, these are things that scientists have studied and tried to use for a lot of different reasons. But when you don't have anybody that understands what you're going through around you to help you out, it's a struggle. It is a struggle. But anyhow, I have endured so much more than you guys can ever fathom. growing up the way I did, having to deal with things that no teenager should have to deal with. Dealing with a parent that really sometimes you wonder if they wanted you in the first place, or could deal with you, with your issues. Some of you might think I have some sort of mommy or daddy issue because I live with my mom at the age of 51 to take care of her, to watch over her, to be here for her. I won't deny that my mom has done a lot for me and Jerry, but I'm her child. Would you literally kick your child out of your life and not help them anymore when they're having struggles? I'm gonna say bullshit, because if you would do something like that, you're a terrible parent. You're a terrible parent if you're not there for your child, no matter what his or her age is. Especially knowing that the child has issues of one form or another, whether it's mental health or physical health. My one cousin, who unfortunately passed away at a very early age due to one group of doctors one set of doctors misdiagnosing her cancer as just, like too much smoking, when she was never a smoker. She had a child who is still around with us, who had a lot of health issues growing up. She is more mentally than physically handicapped. And I can only imagine the struggles that she had to go through after her mom died, and dealing with a stepmother who's more like a wicked stepmother, or a step witch, whatever you want to call them. This woman wanted to put that young girl in a home just to get her out of the house, so her father can take care of the stepmother's children. The oldest of the two kids from my cousin was already in, well, by the time the stepmother arrived, he was already in like high school, and he could not wait to get out of that house because of this woman. But he said that he would take his sister with him wherever he went, because he knew this woman would not help take care of her. I know of a couple people who are single parents, and they deal with either an autistic child or a child with one form of mental handicap, or I'm not going to say who these people are, but one woman I knew, she doesn't even live in this state. I know her via Jerry, basically. Her son is autistic. I know of another woman, I'm not going to mention where location or whatnot. She has a son that's autistic. Autism can show in various forms. It can show in just they don't like being touched. They don't like being talked to. They don't like being, there's certain things that you cannot do with that child, depending on their sensitivity. But I know plenty of people, or heard of plenty of people, read about plenty of people who have a form of autism that are geniuses. They're intelligent as all get out, but they're considered misfits because they don't act like a normal human being. Well, I'm sorry, sister. Normal is a setting on a dishwasher. There is no true normal. Mother Nature is ever changing, which makes it she's not normal. There are people out there who just don't want to understand, who don't want to care about somebody who's got an issue of one form or another. They might, they might steer away from the kids that have autism or the kids who just don't act normal in their standards. Whose standards are we looking at? Are we looking at, the modern day world standards, which suck? Or are we looking at the Bible standards, which are the best standards to go by? You know, it don't matter what the standards are outside of the Bible, because you know what? We're not here to judge. We're not here to mock people. We're not here to do God's job. If we were here to do God's job, we'd be able to take a handful of dirt and create something with it. And I don't mean a plant. I mean like a living creature, like I don't know, a human being. You ever heard that whole joke? That old joke? Scientists want to compete against God to make a human, to make a human being. God told the scientists what all the ingredients are, but he said the main ingredient you have to find on your own. Guess what that main ingredient is? A spark of life that only God can give. The other one goes, okay, yeah, you can try to make a human being. I made a human being out of dirt. Oh, by the way, find your own dirt. Create your own dirt. You know, the what gets me the most is these people who want to call themselves Christians, and yes, I'm guilty of this. So I'm not just pointing a finger at them. I'm pointing a finger at myself. So many people can be hypocritical because they don't follow their norm, or they don't follow what they think should be the absolute way of doing things. I've read the Bible I don't know how many times, and I know I've sinned a lot. But the thing is, what I've learned? Not to go that path again. You know, I've traveled the wrong path multiple times for a long time, but I always end up back on the path of God. And I think that's because God wants me to learn about a lot of different things to prove to me the righteous and the unrighteous. And I don't care what people say about me, because I learned that was one of the biggest things that I used to be concerned about so much, was what other people thought about me. All throughout high school, I was worried about what people thought about me, and it got me aggravated when they were thinking things that I felt was negative, because they did not understand why I was so different, why I don't fit into any clique. Never did then, never will now. So people can say all kinds of things about me. I don't care. I really don't. I'm not worried about trying to make you happy. I'm not worried about trying to make the government happy. You know who I'm worried about trying to make happy? The man upstairs. Man upstairs, my wife, my mom, myself. That's the only people I need to make happy. And you know what? I know I'm doing a good job of making them happy, making myself happy now, making the big guy upstairs happy, because I realize that yes, following a different belief system might have been the old way, but today's way is the Bible. Problem is, the Bible is getting so muddled and messed with and turned upside down by people who just don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with the Bible. You just have to follow it. Okay? I don't agree with a lot of things that Jerry wants me to do, but it needs to be done, so I do it. And a lot of times I'll sit there and look at Jerry and go, look, okay, you tell me what needs to be done. And since I'm the one that's going to be doing it, you just sit back and wait for me to ask you questions. Or I bring you the stuff out of the bedroom that we're going through and sit it down next to you and go through it. And if there's anything in there that's mine, let's talk about it. Let's make a decision what to do with it. Because last time I tried to clean on my own, I threw shit away that I just didn't think was necessary. I got yelled at about it because of the fact that I didn't consult her first. So I learned my lesson there. But the thing is, yeah, I might not agree with her, but I do the best I can to make her happy. Same with my mom. Today was basically spent pretty herself. It was about 7 o'clock before I realized what time it was and said, "Oh, we need to eat." We had enough in there. Mom had some leftover bratwurst and mashed potatoes. I had leftover pork chop with noodles. Jerry had a thin. They called it a pork chop, but it was really thin. It looked like more like a piece of country ham, and a cup of cheddar, broccoli, rice-a-roni. You know, put water to the line, stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes, and bon appetit. You know. So I mean, for all the people who have their own personal channels that I've already blocked and whatnot, you want to say smack? Go ahead. You're basically digging your own grave. You're digging your own grave. You're doing something that the Bible says not to do because it's not your job. In fact, the Bible even says if you have any impurity, or if you are a pure of heart, and you know full well that you're a pure of heart, go ahead and stone the person you're going to throw stones at. But be warned, if you're not pure hearts and you throw a stone, you'll go to hell. It's paraphrasing the Bible, but that's what the Bible says. And you know what happened to that crowd? They all dropped their stones and they walked away because they knew that they were not pure enough to make a judgment call about one person's impurity. Because that's not your job. That's not my job. That's God's job. But if you want to continue to talk smack and make up stories and half-cocked, take information that's not to the fullest and run off and make half-cocked stories when you have no fucking clue, excuse my language, zip your lip and let God make his decisions and make his judgments, because that's his job, nobody else's. Not even the judge in the Supreme Court can outjudge God. And here's another thing. My last thing before I turn this thing off. I was going through some of my Facebook stuff, and there was a meme on there, or a message on there, and it said, "I'd rather be honest and true and walk by myself than lie and be with a crowd." So if I have to be alone in this world because I'm speaking my truth and you can't handle it, so be it. I'm used to being alone. In fact, I was alone most of my life until I got married. So I was basically alone for 30 years. And the worst of it was the 15 years before that. Yeah. So I've walked through the shadow of darkness. I walked in the light. I've been on both sides of the coin. But I'm still here fighting it, doing the good, walking on the good green earth, or as the Indians would say, the red earth. So go ahead and make your comments. Go ahead and make up your stories on your personal YouTube channel. It's fine and dandy. It might get me upset because you're lying, especially if I hear about it, because I don't go to your channels no more. In fact, I even turned off all the notifications for your channels. So if I hear anything, it's because somehow somebody's hacking into my channel and turning off the do not notify. In fact, I did get a notification. Somebody made a video, and I went on that. I clicked on it to see what was going on, and somebody basically went in and looked at all my subscriptions on YouTube and started making false accusations. Most of my YouTube stuff that I look at nowadays is about nature, and nature does its own thing. You got an issue about me looking at videos that talk, that's talking about monkeys having sex or whatever? That's you, boo, not me. I look at it as that's just nature doing its thing, and somebody recording it. And sometimes it's fun and cute and whatnot. Sometimes it's like, okay, what the hell? That, and I've got like got nature, got a whole bunch of anime. Um, the Fry Life. They didn't say nothing about me watching the Fry Life. Um, I got one subscription to a woman who hasn't done anything in a long time, and she was modeling plus size clothes. You know what a guy like me does when he's watching something like that? I've got a plus size wife. This woman is basically doing, videos on plus size clothing. At the time I was watching her the most is right before we went to our cruise, and I was thinking like, okay, she's modeling bathing suits. Maybe I can find a bathing suit that looks good, might look good, looks good on this woman, but maybe it will look just as good, if not better, on my wife. Yet they want to ridicule me for doing that. See, unless you know why I'm looking at these channels, you can't make any comments. You can't really say anything. Because all you're doing is going, oh, look at all the subscriptions, all the things he looks at, man. Why is he watching these monkeys, playing with themselves and blah, 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 Because I'm an animal lover. So, of course, I'm going to watch monkeys. Who cares what the fuck the monkeys are doing? And sometimes it's sad to watch it because you're watching a mother monkey biting her daughter or son for doing something bad. Well, that to me, it's like, okay, yeah, to some people that looks bad because a monkey is attacking another monkey, but what it is, it's mama monkey disciplining baby monkey for doing something that mama monkey doesn't want the other monkey to do. But anyhow, see you guys later. You know what to do below. Have a good weekend, week, whatever.